Xfinity, and the Cup Series all head to Daytona for what is expected to be one of the best nights in racing this weekend. We get you ready from a betting perspective next on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. Everybody, welcome to the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. We got a jam-packed night tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Energy's high already. If you're joining us on YouTube, welcome. If you're joining us on Twitter Spaces, welcome as well. We got a lot happening here this evening and a lot to cover. Like I said, Xfinity heading to Daytona for what's going to be a wild race on Friday, and then the Cup Series, their regular season finale Saturday night. And it's going to be chaotic and crazy as is. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The NASCAR Betting Preview Show is presented by Atlas Hair. Atlas is an elite line of hairstyling products with cologne fragrances. So get started today at atlashair.com. Use the promo code NASCAR for 20% off your entire order. atlashair.com. That's ATLASHAIR.com. Again, for those watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It helps out our partners over at In Between Media. They do so much. Seth behind the director's area here, just helping us out on the back end. Really excited. So let's get into the panel. Let's have some discussions. I want to welcome on the boys, Full Tank with Phil. Phil dropped his podcast this morning. Great episode with Seth of the In Between Media. Phil, how are you feeling going into Daytona?
Well, Derek, I'm fired up. Happy to get out of Watkins Glen alive, really, and excited for Daytona. I love just the entertainment factor of it, just to begin with, and then throwing some bets in on a night race, get after a little bit with some adult beverages. There's nothing better. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday night, and it's the 1 year anniversary when this show all got together live for that race. So
yes.
Pretty good times to look back on and look ahead. So happy to be here tonight with you guys.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that was can't believe that was a year ago where we got together. Everybody came into town in Lancaster. We watched the Xfinity race Friday. Ended up going to a bar watching it because of all the rain. Saturday was moved into Sunday, and we had Todd came on. We had a lot of fun that day. So it was I'm glad that you called that out. So, Mark, you're the host of the Laying Coin Pod Through the Gears podcast. Mark, you do so much, not only in the betting community, but just kind of all the interactions that you do throughout. So we left going right and left on turns at Watkins Glen. We're heading to Daytona. You're going to be at the track on Saturday. How are you feeling going into the weekend?
Yeah, feeling good. Yeah, feeling great. We're rookies over here still, apparently. No, feeling great. Daytona, baby. I'm gonna fly out of this 100-degree weather day today here in Chicago. So excited to be down in Daytona for another 100-degree scorcher. No rain. Cross your fingers. Like the first time that it hasn't rained in Northeast Florida in probably 3 weeks, and there's like a 5% chance of rain. So fired up. I probably just jinxed us. But yeah, I'm ready to throw some darts blindfolded. My favorite GIF when we come to super speedways, and by the way, it is GIF, not GIF, is just, I think it's Mike Tyson. It's the black dude with the blindfold throwing darts. Yeah, that's going to be me this week. So looking forward to it.
Well, that's good. Well, that'll be fun to hear what you're on and some of the insights that you kind of see over the betting landscape. Now, I want to welcome on a very special guest, not his first time by any means, but Dale Tanhardt of the Garage Guys. And Dale, you're one of the pioneers of the NASCAR betting industry, and you do so much throughout. I know you're busy. It feels like every night you're creating some type of a content element. So thanks for taking time out to join us on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. How are you doing, and how are you feeling going into Daytona?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back. I love what you guys are doing with the video stuff. We're talking in the pre-thing. Overlays look really good. And I know you guys have grown a really strong community here too. So it is admirable to see what you guys have done over here, not just on Twitter, but now on YouTube as well. So it was good to see Phil and Mark, and see you guys on camera is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Too. I like I said, I love that element over on YouTube. But no, I feel good. My strategy for Daytona, knowing what Daytona is, I typically bet a lot of the same guys, right? Like I treat it like a true roulette table, which is try to bet the same numbers every single time. I think your chances are better at hitting something. So it's tough to go back to back at Daytona, and I did hit Austin Dillon last year by the grace of God. We all saw how crazy that was. So to go back to back in this race is going to be tough. I had a good, decent, non-problematic road course weekend at the Glen, which never happened. Thank God for the stage break, or the lack of stage breaks, if you will. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. Regardless, it's going to be a really, really fun race. And like Mark said, no rain in the forecast. We finally get a Saturday night race, dude. Like I feel like it's been an eternity since we've had a Saturday night race at Daytona. So I'm excited for that too.
I'm with you on that. I'm glad to hear that you hit an Austin Dillon winner last year. I did as well. So that's good that we have that. We talk about so many times, people obviously listen on Twitter Spaces and seeing us on YouTube as well. You got the stash going. Mark's got the Fu Manchu. You got Austin Cindric behind you. Talk about that picture real quick, because I know the importance of. Well, I don't know if it's really behind you. It is. So talk about that, because I know the story behind it, but maybe for the listeners they don't. But it'd be a good reason for them to tune in on YouTube as well. So go ahead.
Well, look, it's honestly, it's funny because I use that picture because the theme is kind of sort of the opposite of what this picture implies. I can't believe they let me up there, but this is after Austin Cindric won the Daytona 500. They let me take a picture with him, and this was like the time where I formulated the beef with Austin Cindric. Over betting heartbreak, right? Like he always would screw me over in the Xfinity Series, topped off when I picked him to win the championship at the end of 2021, and he got beat by Daniel Hemrick, who has won the same amount of races as me since that moment. So that sparked the beef even further. And then in Victory Lane, I told him, I was like, I just want you to know I hate you because I bet on Blaney tonight, and you stole all my money. And I said, like, what did I say? I said, every time I bet on you, you never win. I said something along those lines. This is while we're shaking hands, and he goes, okay, please never bet on me ever again. And we took that picture where I'm clearly very, very happy after betting on Ryan Blaney. Yeah. And then Cindric wins.
You never look happier. So I'm glad that you were able to share that, because I knew the importance of it, but I always enjoy hearing that. So let's do this. Let's go into the show outline tonight before we touch on all the breakdowns. So going to go over some track facts and data from Daytona. I want to hear what the guys have to say regarding their favorite head-to-head. And then I want to hear what the guys have to say from a finishing position prop, go over outright pricing, and then get to you, the listener, questions, because I know there's going to be so many going into this weekend. How do you put a card together? What do you look for? This and that. So we're going to get you covered from top to bottom. This week is the Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona. Stage 1 will be 40 laps. Stage 2 will be 40 laps, and then an 80-lap run to the finish. On Saturday, we have qualifying only, and then which will be Friday we have qualifying at 5 p.m. and then the race will be Saturday at 7 p.m. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Some track trends and history. Chevy has won 8 of the 10 Gen 7 Super Speedway races since 2022. And as Dale was saying, Austin Cindric won the first one, so he was a Ford. Chevy has won 8 of 10. 3 of the last 5 winners at Daytona have come from 17th or worse. 4 of the last 5 Coke Zero winners have led 10 or less laps, and 13 different winners have won the last 13 Coke Zero 400s. And again, that's courtesy of stats from Eric_Race Review on Twitter. So make sure you go and support him there. Track comps, Talladega and Atlanta. Some people use Atlanta, some people don't. I find it, I was at Atlanta. I feel like that is the closest comp because it is hard to pass. You'll hear the drivers say it a lot. These cars are difficult to pass in. You're going to see a lot of 2x2. There's going to be some massive runs, but it's not the 3 wide. This isn't your dad's or your grandfather's super speedway. This is a different style. So Atlanta, as tight as it is, small configuration, I always find that to be the closest comp. So Phil, I'm going to start with you tonight regarding the head-to-head market. Where have you been able to find an edge heading into Saturday?
Well, I know that there's a few people out there who don't really enjoy the head-to-head market. I do. I know Mark SKYBOX is one of them. I think our guy Rory is. I guess we're going to hear from Dale in a little bit. But I love it. I don't know if I'm a psychopath or what, but I enjoy doing it. Maybe it's just like for the entertainment factor, like I said earlier. But I think if you're going to be looking at head-to-heads this week, it's less about who you like and more about who you don't like. Mm-hmm. And I had this conversation last night. I had Seth on the podcast. We did a little full tank face-off with head-to-head matchups for the first time in a while. He stole this matchup for me, and I got stuck with this scumbag that is in this matchup. So I'm looking for the guy to fade here, and it's Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton is who I'm going up against, and he just so happens to be in a head-to-head matchup against Michael McDowell. So the case here, I'm looking a little bit at Daytona, by the way, like 10 races at Daytona, the last 6 super speedways at Talladega and Daytona. And then this year specifically, I'm throwing in Atlanta. So 4 races this year, just FYI. And McDowell, we kind of know who he is now. And since he won the 500, he hasn't been as good as he was. There was a time when he would like walk into this place and just kind of transform into somebody different, where he would just be super consistent, which is what you want here, as we'll talk about later. But 1 win, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in the last 10 Daytona races, 6 of 10 top 15. So that's decent, pretty consistent. On the last 6 super speedways, he's 3 for 6, 50% hit rate for a top 10, and his average finish is 18.8. Okay, pretty solid there for McDowell. Not anything that's worth writing home about, but Harrison Burton is the reason why I'm taking McDowell, and it's just he will be up front at some point in this race, and it never lasts. It's a house of cards situation there. You might be like, holy shit, like what can I get him at live? Like it's just not going to pan out. He's got 1 top 20 in his last 6 and 4 finishes outside of the top 30. So I'm fading Burton. It really is like insert X driver here. In this case, it's Michael McDowell, and McDowell can run this race a little bit more free. He knows he's in the playoffs. He can have a little fun. He's pretty decent on super speedways, as we tried to document. So I like this, and this is minus 125 on Caesar. So I'm really digging this one.
Okay, so you like that matchup, and for anybody watching on YouTube, you can see at the bottom portion, we got a ticker going across, so you can see what the guys are on from a head-to-head standpoint. You said, Phil, you like McDowell minus 125 over Harrison Burton. You said that's on Caesars. So, Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you next. Where have you been able to find a betting edge in the head-to-head markets?
Let me first start by saying this is no disrespect to Phil. He knows how I feel about this. We have had this conversation. Number 1, I'll take my Harrison Burton 90-1 ticket to the bank. You don't have to bet it. I'll donate the money. Don't worry about it. Second of all, you may as well parlay 10 matchups with each other, and you'll have a better chance of winning than betting matchups on super speedways. So what I do is I go to all the books and I take screenshots of everybody that is even money or better. And when I better, plus 110, plus 120. Okay. And then I pick what I want to talk about. And tonight just happened to be Corey LaJoie over Eric Jones. And there's not much that I have. I will say to Phil's defense, it is I do think it's a better strategy to find the guys to fade and just take the other guy. But I'm just not like, I'm willing to lay juice on like a short track or 1.5 mile road course, whatever. Not super speedway. It's a place that I don't want to do that. So even minus 125, I'm out on that, but Phil's made it work for this long. He's going to continue to make it work. I cannot make it work. So Corey LaJoie at even money over Eric Jones. It's on Caesars. Over the last 2 years at Daytona and Atlanta. So take Talladega out for a second. Derek, you gave a little hint. It's just tight, right? Like Talladega, it's somewhat possible to get a third groove, get some momentum, leave some guys in the middle in the dust or the bottom, same way. Daytona, it's tough, right? So I think Atlanta is a place to look. And over the last 2 years at Daytona and Atlanta, that's 7 races. Corey LaJoie has beat Eric Jones 4 times to 3. Okay. That sounded really terrible. In 5 of the last 7 Daytona races, Corey LaJoie has finished in the top 16. How about there's your stat, Phil? You like that one? Corey LaJoie, 5 of the last 7, top 16. And so while both these guys have similar success, if you throw Talladega in there, Eric Jones is beyond Corey LaJoie when it comes to actual finishes. But I like the even money here. Corey LaJoie got to win. Guy that, loves super speedways, loves Daytona. I maybe not love is the right word for it, but he just excels. It's his only shot, essentially one of his only shots to run well. So Corey LaJoie, even money over Eric Jones on Caesars.
Okay, so I think that good explanation there. That'll be a fun one to watch. Dale, what about you? What do you think about maybe what the guys have said so far, but where have you been able to find a betting edge heading into Daytona?
Yeah, I'm on the train of the guy that hates betting matchups. I do, because I've been on the wrong side of it earlier in my betting career. Like, I think it was a 2021 Daytona 500. There's a huge crash on like lap 4, and I had like 5 head-to-head matchups, and all 5 of my matchups were in that wreck, and they were all gone before we even made it to like lap 30, and then it rained for 6 hours. So that kind of haunted me and propelled me from staying away, or just no matchups, right? But if there's one matchup that I really like, the most sure thing matchup I could find is Christopher Bell over Tyler Reddick on DraftKings Sportsbook -115. Kind of like what Phil and Mark said, like it's not about always picking the guy you like, but the picking against the guy you hate. And I mean, when you look at Bell over and Reddick head to head over the last, 5 super speedways dating back to Talladega, fall of 2022, Christopher Bell has beat him at every single one, and that includes Atlanta as well. You got to throw Atlanta in there because it's a drafting style racetrack. But dating back to Talladega 2022. Christopher Bell has beaten Tyler Reddick head-to-head in every single points-paying super speedway / drafting style racetrack. And look, if there's any kryptonite to Tyler Reddick's game, it is the super speedways. He finished second here at Daytona last year, playing our third. I can't remember if it was second or third, but he helped Austin Dillon secure that win. But after that, Christopher Bell, who has actually improved as a super speedway racer, has beaten him straight up every single time. So Christopher Bell, if you look at Daytona Talladega, 2 top 10s, 1 top 5. He's not just beating Tyler Reddick, like he's having good finishes of his own. Was right there at Daytona in February in that caution fest where he almost won the 500 with Stenhouse and Logano there. So I think if I said sure thing, make sure you keep that in quotations, because there's nothing that's a sure thing at Daytona. But if there's a matchup that I think is really, really close, -115, it's Christopher Bell over Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I would have been interested to see what would happen at Atlanta. I know it got rain shortened in the summer race, but like you said, Daytona, he finished 3rd. Talladega, he finished 8th, I believe. Atlanta finished 3rd. And then when they went back to Atlanta because of the rain, he was around in the 20s. So definitely interesting philosophies and kind of things to think about there. I'm sure in this next market, you guys will all be bought in. I know, Phil, you are with the head-to-heads. I am as well. So let's move into the finishing position prop market. And Mark, I'm going to let you kick this one off. Curious to hear what you have to say. What have you found for the people out there?
I'm going to ride this RFK momentum train, and I'm just going to drive it all the way to the end of time. Maybe, it ends this week, but buddy, I'm taking Brad Keselowski top 5 plus 245 on Bet Rivers. He was hanging around plus 180, plus 210. Bet Rivers comes in to save the day, plus 245 for a top 5. And we've all seen Brad at the front of these races for his entire career. 7 wins, 14 top 5s, 22 top 10s. It's pretty remarkable what he's done. Now, it's been in 50-something races, but he's got 7 wins, all right, on super speedways. So the last 3 super speedways this year, the only 3, I guess, 6th, 5th, and 2nd place finishes. So not only is he running up front, but he's also finishing up front. The last 2 Daytona 500s, Brad has led a 42 laps and 67 laps. Both Atlanta races this year, he led a combined 66 laps with a chance to win with a bad block on Joey. I thought Brad was better than that. He clearly isn't, maybe not at Atlanta. I know we all lost a lot of money on that. But, Brad's a guy that's going to be at the front. I found a number that I liked on him. I can picture it now. I'm going to see the 6 and the 17, maybe vice versa. They're going to be 1, 2 on the top, like the middle to the later half of stage 2, and they're just going to be blocking the whole field. And that's what's going to happen. And RFK they're hot right now. They've won a couple races. They're both in the playoffs. Brad still needs to get a win. He's great on super speedways. So I'm not asking for a whole lot. I'm not in love. I'm not going to get in bed with his outright number. But top 5 plus 245 on Bet Rivers was calling my name. So give me a little Brad K.
Okay, Brad K. You think maybe he gets the victory lane. Obviously, you like the top 5 number, but he's going to be hanging up there. You think he's going to get a push from Buescher. So, Dale, what about you? What do you think about from the finishing position prop market? Where have you been able to find some value as we go into the weekend?
This is even I'd rather bet the matchup I gave than a positioning prop on any of these guys because it's like.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
I think it's checkers and wreckers, right?
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be betting on Brad K to win. There's no question about it. He's one of those guys that is an auto bet at super speedways, and you're just not going to hold this guy out 2 years in a row from winning one of these super speedway races. I just don't think it's going to happen. He should have won both Atlanta races based on the speed and the pure craft of his drafting ability. Yep. Was close to Talladega and was close to the Daytona 500. So, I mean, man, there's no one knocking on the door more than Brad K right now. And like Mark said, RFK is so hot. I would never have thought that Chris Buescher would have 3 wins before Brad when they developed this new revamped program. So I love Brad K. But if I'm looking at top 5, if I'm looking at positionals, I think it's going to be a crash fest. I think it's going to be an absolute disaster with everybody trying to push their way into the playoffs. I would take a guy that you think is going to sit in the back for a top 10 or a top 5, maybe like a Riley Herbst plus 350 top 10, a guy that is the only driver in Cup Series history to finish top 10 in his first 2 starts. I think I remember them saying that on Fox earlier this year, which is crazy. But
that's crazy.
I think what I would lean to is picking 2 guys for a top 5. And the 2 guys I'm going to look at, Josh Berry plus 750 for a top 5. I feel like Josh is going to be a guy that's going to chill, do whatever he can to help Eric Jones, obviously, but also get a good finish for his team. Probably not going to go get up into the middle of the fire. And then Harrison Burton. I agree with Phil in the sense I would not touch Harrison Burton with a matchup. No way in hell. But when it comes to a top 5, you got to remember the guy's in a Penske Ford satellite car, so he's going to have a good race car. He's led laps at super speedways, and he's 8-1 for a top 5 on Bet Rivers. So I think it's another guy who may not get up in the middle of the fire like his Penske teammates trying to help to get Austin Cindric into the playoffs. So maybe look at a Harrison Burton, maybe bet both of those, right? And you might could sit back, relax, and hope for chaos. A Josh Berry top 5 at plus 750 and a Harrison Burton top 5 at plus 800.
Okay, so you think there'll be some chaos will ensue, and like you said, guys hanging out in the back that aren't really even in the picture frame will be there when it's at the end, just kind of surviving. So it makes me excited to go into the next market, which is the outright market. And again, if you're following us and watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in there. If you guys don't mind on Twitter Spaces, like and retweet this so that your fans and followers can also support or be involved with what we're doing here tonight. Phil, go ahead before we go into the outright market. Curious what you have to say.
You
know what, Phil?
I just figured I'd show up and just hang out.
I appreciate
my
Phil,
picks at 3:00 today. No big deal. Just afterthought.
All right. Let me tee you up. So
yeah, go ahead. Tee me
up. When it comes to the finishing position prop, we've obviously heard Mark say about Keselowski. Dale likes the little bit of chaos. I'm so curious, and I know the people out there are as well. Where are you taking us? Where are you leading us?
Dude,
I would never miss out.
Really interesting question, Derek. I really appreciate you throwing it to me. And I'm kind of caught off guard, honestly. So I'm just going to wing this. The concept that Dale was just throwing out there. First of all 3 of us, I think, agree with the Brad Keselowski take. got to be in on him in some way, shape, or form this weekend, no matter how you slice it. And I am kind of digging like the super long shot top fives because that's very possible with chaos. I always look for top tens because it's just like so crazy. Like a guy could be running second and all of a sudden he's 13th, at the end. So the one driver that kind of stood out to me, and this is, you could call it a long shot, somebody that I was completely out on last week, and now I'm back in. It's AJ Allmendinger. And for a top 10, first of all, the top 10 lines, Caesars came out with them and they were absolute trash. And then, DraftKings came along and they were a little bit better. And Bet Rivers is saving the day with these finishing position bets because AJ was plus 140 on Caesars. He's plus 210 on Bet Rivers. So that's just huge. And to get, above 2-1 for a top 10 on AJ Allmendinger on a super speedway. I mean, why is Colleague even around? It's because they built their team in the Xfinity Series around a guy who could win road courses and super speedways. And he did so much of that they were able to field not one, but two cup teams. So now we're sitting here. I don't know what the future holds for Colleague, but I got to imagine that they're taking one last swing. I was out on him last week because I thought he was a broken man at Indy. He showed up and I was impressed. He got that top five. He held on. And I think now, plus 210 for a top five. He's got 2 starts at Daytona in the last 10 races there. 4.5 average finish. I mean, that's small sample size, but there's something about Daytona in his career that he seems to like. He has the ability to stay out of the shit at this racetrack. And to me, I mean, that's huge. He finished 29th at Talladega, caught up in it, I guess. And what are you going to do? Third, you like Atlanta, Derek, more than I do, but he finished third in the second race at Atlanta. So a 6th place at Daytona, a 3rd at Atlanta. I mean, I think I'm preaching to the choir here. We know that he can run at the super speedway. So in a must win, in a car that has the ability with a driver who definitely does, I like 210 for a top 10 there for AJ. Shoot for the moon. And
I love Colleague.
Yeah.
I love Colleague this weekend. I'm so glad you said that. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I think Colleague, when it comes to these types of races, we know what they've done in Xfinity, where you pretty much would go in years ago and just bet on those 3 guys, whatever cars were running for Colleague, and know they're going to be up front. Now that they're in the Cup Series, and we have a 3rd entry this weekend with Chandler Smith, who's going to be running. And again, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Alan Cavana or somebody said, I wish more teams would kind of wise up to this idea of, hey, if there's a way to get a car into the race, entered in on especially the last regular season event, that can be a pusher, because we know Chandler's not going to get there unless complete chaos would ensue, but he's there to do one job and one job only and push. Go ahead, Mark.
The only thing that I want to add about Colleague is, when was the last time you saw 3 teammates cross the finish line at a super speedway at any track 3 wide? Maybe never. That's Colleague on super speedways. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence about Colleague, just bet them. They find a way. Find something you like, right? Doesn't have to be to win the race, but find something you like. Bet Colleague.
Dale, I'm gonna throw a question that's a little bit out there. It doesn't have to necessarily be betting related, but what happens with Colleague next year? There's a lot of rumors floating around. What do you, in your estimation, happens with their Cup program?
Well, they're building a new shop, so I don't think they're going anywhere. But I think that there might be, unless Mr. Colleague is like going to get into the real estate business, just own all the, like Rick Hendrick owns all the Chevy shops and whatnot. Maybe Colleague's going to try to get in. I don't know. I think they're going to go to a different manufacturer. That's just my hunch feeling. I thought there was a chance they were going Xfinity racing and they were going to hang up the Cup jock strap, but I think they're still going Cup racing. They may only come down to one car. But I'm going to stand firm. We're going Cup racing with Colleague.
Okay. And Dale, as I was saying, I was teeing you up with the question. What do you think?
Well, apparently they're building a shop, according to Mark. So I have that info now. But no, I don't know. The silly season this year, just to, on a broader scale, is going to be wild this year. I really don't know. I mean, Carson Hocevar, I think, is a candidate. Maybe somebody that could take over for Daniel Hemrick, who has not gotten the results. compared to what Chandler Smith has done in a very short time, right? Getting the youth in there might be a priority, especially because, AJ is probably in what a lot of people would say the prime of his career, but he doesn't have forever. I mean, dude's in his 40s, right? He's in his young 40s. So, I really don't know. I think they're going to stick around with 2 full-time teams in Cup, 3 full-time teams in Xfinity. Just maybe, I don't know, maybe we get more younger guys up in that Xfinity program. Yeah, like a host of art. Maybe it's Zane Smith. We know Zane Smith isn't going to be, probably won't be with Front Row anymore because they made the decision to stick with Toddy G and Mike Max. So, and I could not tell you, but I have a hunch maybe we see a Carson Hocevar move up with a colleague, but who the hell knows?
Well, like you said there about Zane Smith, I mean, Riley Herbst being in the 36 this week, I think tells you everything you need to know regarding that. But let's move into the outrights now, now that we heard officially from all the guys from the finishing position market. So let's move into the outrights. And Dale, I want to start with you when it comes to this specific market. Where have you been able to find value, and what was the first thing that you were like, I'm going in on this because this is what's going to be the thing that kind of leads us to victory this weekend?
All right. So what I was saying earlier, I told the Austin Cindric story. When he was in victory lane here in January or February of 2022, I was very unhappy, but I'll go ahead and tell you this weekend, I will be very happy to see him in victory lane. And it's because I'm going to be bet on Austin Cindric. I think our best line is somewhere around 25-1. I haven't bet it yet. I got to get my bets in on the way to St. Louis. But look, here's a deal that has me attracted to an Austin Cindric outright this weekend. We have this narrative about team orders, right? Most notably in 2022, I know it was survival of the fittest, but Tyler Reddick did help Austin Dillon secure that win and get him into the playoffs, and RCR secured 2 playoff spots. When it comes to team orders, Team Penske is sitting at the top of the list because Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano are both locked in the playoffs. They're both going to be fast. Tim Cindric is one of the top guys at Team Penske, a.k.a. Austin Cindric's dad. You think they're not already talking about the goal here is to get our 3rd car into the playoffs? If you look at any other team across the board, Hendrick Motorsports is a house divided. You got Bowman or Chase Elliott that can get in. Toyota is a house divided. You got Bubba Wallace or Ty Gibbs that can get in, right? So you don't have any consistency with other playoff guys or borderline playoff guys where you could see a situation where we have manufactured help to get them in. I could see from the jump, we talk about Brad Kay, he's a guy that leads a lot of laps. Ford in general has led a lot of laps at the super speedways, and particularly with the dawn of the Gen 7 era. And Austin Cindric's been right there. He was so good at Atlanta earlier this year, or the second Atlanta race, really good. First Atlanta race, won a stage and was up there battling with his teammates for stage wins, and I don't know what happened at the end, but didn't get the best finish. And obviously, it's a Daytona 500 champion and ran second at Daytona in this race last year. So, look, Austin Cindric, I know it's been disappointing. We haven't seen the progress we thought we would see because we really believe that he is a world-class road course racing talent with his diverse experience. But at the end of the day, the track style that Austin Cindric has been the best at is the super speedways. I love the situation around him having teammates that are probably going to work to help get him in. I think from the jump, Ford is going to be out front, leading laps, and don't be surprised if Austin Cindric is up front and has his teammates helping him out throughout the entire night. And the best place to be if you want to avoid the chaos is at the front, and that's where the Penske Fords typically hang out. So an Austin Cindric ticket, I'd bet down maybe 22-1. For my guy back here behind me. He's been my mortal nemesis, but this weekend I really like an Austin Cindric ticket. And just an extra one, 9-1 top Ford over on BetMGM, I believe. I'll double check on that. So considering the race car he's in, 9-1 top Ford, crazy value in my opinion.
I actually like that top Ford number a lot more if it's 9-1 or even near 10-1. So you like Austin Cindric. Now I'm torn. I liked Austin Cindric coming in. I'm not sure if I should now be fading Austin Cindric since you kind of told your story. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to believe that Austin Cindric can maybe pull it into victory lane. I put down in the bottom ticker Cindric, a.k.a. your best friend, plus 2,500 there. So, Phil, I'm actually going to turn to you next. Where are you leading us from an outright perspective?
Well, I mean, I thought that was a great explanation. I love the team orders thought process there. The guy that I sang earlier today is one of those guys who would be falling in line and, following those team orders. But there's a reason why I'm looking at Ryan Blaney. And I just want to say, if you listen to the podcast this week, we're definitely looking at guys further down the board. But when it comes to it, there's one driver who I can make a case, in all of the chaos in super speedways, there's one driver who is just proven to be super consistent above everybody else. And it's Ryan Blaney. So I think in order for those team orders to work, you got to be there in the end. And I trust Blaney to be there. Cindric has proven he's good too. If you remember that 500 though, I think Blaney was a little pissed off at Cindric. I don't know. Does he really help him out? But regardless, getting into the stats here, just to kind of prove this point home. I mean, looking at the last 10 races at Daytona, you can see the progression that Blaney has made. 5 races past 10 races ago, further up to 5 races, dog shit. But the last 5, he's been just improving. 4 straight top 15s, 3 top 10s, including a win in the summer race. And since 2022 on super speedways, his average finish is 7.0. So to give you an idea of how good that is, that's first in NASCAR. Third place is 13.3. So almost double. It's so hard to be consistent on these super speedways, and he has proven it. So I really like Blaney. 3 top 5s in the last 6 super speedway races, and 6 for 6 being in the top 15. So I'm lowering the bar a little bit, to be in top 15. But the point that I'm trying to make is consistency. And that's the biggest thing that I'm looking for, no matter how I'm betting. And so 12-1, not the sexiest number when you got guys out there like 25-1 for Cindric, who is proving it. But again, I'm really just trying to find someone that makes sense to me and who will be there in the end. And then in that last lap, we'll see how it plays out. But I like Blaney this week.
All right, so you like Ryan Blaney, and Dale was talking about how he likes Austin Cindric. So we're Team Penske, it sounds like. So, Mark, I'm going to ask you, are you going to fill out the final Team Penske and go Joey Logano, or are we going somewhere else?
No. I do like the Fords, but no. Okay. If you are coming to listen to me talk about something insightful, go ahead and turn your volume down for the next 30 seconds because that's all I got. Okay. First of all, this is the largest outright wager I've ever placed I have to put an asterisk in the Cup Series. Okay. This is not smart. I do not recommend it. Okay. I hit Byron 34-1 last week. I've got some disposable income. I'm playing it. Okay. Rye, don't want to hear it. 10 foil hat is coming out. Okay. Chase Elliott, 13-1, Bet Rivers. It's not available anymore. If you do want the 18-1 on Caesars with the parlay with Max, that's fine. I don't mind taking that. I am not going to put 500 of my hard-earned doll hairs that I won on Byron last week on some F1 bullshit, and the one race that Max doesn't win, I'm screwed over and Chase wins. Anyway, okay. Sometimes I like to go back to when I first started betting on NASCAR and be like, wow, that's a good paint scheme. I like that. Or, wow, that guy's got to win to get in the playoffs. Or, wow, that's NASCAR's most popular driver, and he's not in the playoffs. That's why I'm taking Chase Elliott to win this race. I don't have anything else to go on. Okay, we'll throw out a couple nicknames for him. NASCAR is fixed at 13-1. Mr. Hooters, Mr. Napa Auto Parts, Mr. 2020 champion, Mr. NASCAR's most popular driver who isn't in the playoffs yet that still needs to win to make it in the playoffs. Chase Elliott to win. Don't think, just bet.
So half a dime on Chase Elliott, like you were saying there. And what are you doing with your body hair this weekend?
Oh, I totally forgot. I forgot that part. If you're watching on YouTube, I got the Fu Manchu. So I got the half Chase Elliott going on. I'm going to have the full Chase Elliott going on. Chase Holden, Dale's partner at Garage Guys. He's doing it, I think, today. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I am shaving a big, whopping, fat number 9 into my chest, maybe my back too. And I will be walking around Daytona International Speedway for Friday night and Saturday night without a shirt on. And if he wins, I've already tweeted this out, but if he wins and you see someone, Tony Stewart, climbing the fence with no shirt on, it wasn't me.
That is great. So you and Chase obviously are both going to be doing that. That's really cool. So that then concludes the head-to-head market. And I'm curious now to hear what you guys have to say from a best bet standpoint and value. What have you been able to find on the board? Phil, I'm going to start with you.
Sorry. Loading this up here. First timer. Yeah, there we go.
There we are.
My phone locked with me there. Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Again, I might not be talking about the sexiest odds. There are definitely ways to do that this weekend if you want to really cash a big ticket. But from a smart situation, as smart as you can be, we talked a lot about this organization. It's Ford. Ford's plus 130, and I think Ford's going to win the race. 6 of the top 7 drivers in the 2023 Super Speedway driver rating are Ford drivers. And we've listed so many of the guys tonight. I mean, Brad, Joey, Cindric, Blaney, Busher we haven't talked about. I mean, there are other drivers. We talked about McDowell a little bit. Like, it's just the camp is ready for it. And, looking at wintherace.info, our guy Ryan Stevens, 5 of the top 10 in his model are Ford drivers. So it just, they come to bring it on these tracks. And it's, if somebody else wins, that's fine. I'll take that L, but I'm definitely all in on Ford this week.
So what about guys like Almirola, Briscoe, Harvick, Priest? We didn't say any of their names yet. You like them all, right?
I mean, I get them all, right? If I'm getting
you get
plus
them all.
130, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's Almirola we didn't talk about. Yeah, those are guys who are further down the list that if they hit, you'd probably be wishing you took them outright. But I don't. Those guys would be quite a surprise. They, looking at the data that I was looking at, I was trying to make a case for guys like Almirola, Briscoe. I was trying to make a case for a plus 100 matchup. I couldn't do it. So it's just, Ford in general.
Gotcha.
I think you can get, if it's not one of the big dogs, maybe you do get lucky in, because that's what these races bring. So Ford first on race day, as Mark likes to say.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. So let's go to you, Mark. He just said Ford first on race day. Are you leading us to the Ford market, or are we going elsewhere? And what's been the value you found?
No, but I just realized that I've only bet on one Ford, and usually I'm the one that's blasting out first on race day, not found on Road Dead. But no, I'm going with another Chevy. What'd you say? 8 out of the last 10?
8 out of the last 10.
Number. Yeah. I'm taking a prop here, though, and it's a guy we already talked about. It's colleague. It's AJ Allmendinger, and it's top 3, 12-1. I also like top 5 at like 6-1 if you can get it. I think there's a 550 out there if you can get it at 6-1. I wouldn't mind it. Finished 6th in the 500, albeit a crazy crash at the end. Finished 3rd at Atlanta 2 last month. Yeah, last month. And, if you look at his average running position, it's not great. He kind of hangs out, waits for calamity, hasn't led, and he's led like 7 laps in his career on super speedways, or maybe that's at Daytona. Anyway, regardless. But it's just a big number here. Like, I wasn't in love with a whole lot of the longer shots. I do have a Harrison Burton 90-1 ticket that I found. Wouldn't mind throwing him a little top 3, top 5 for a couple shekels. But with this bet, this is what Dale was talking about. You're looking for calamity. You look at the guys 8-1, 10-1, 12-1. We're not going to get the 50-1 top 5s anymore, the 20-1 top 10s. We're just not going to get those anymore. So, you got to, if you want the longer odds, you got to go look for the top 3 of the outright market. And I think AJ Allmendinger top 3 at 12-1, and a top 5 at 6-1 if you can find it. I think the best I found is 5.5. But anyway, got to win. So he's got that going for him, as I just pointed out with Chase Elliott. A lot of these guys, we got an Austin Cindric bet. We've got a few bets based on help and guys needing to win. So these guys are going to have to go for it. They're going to have to be at the front. It's not like AJ Allmendinger is going to be riding 30th all day and then be okay with finishing 15th. Like, he might run 30th for the first, stage or two, and then he's going to move his way to the front. So I don't mind betting some of these guys that have the itch that have to get in the playoffs with a win. Betting them with these props. So, colleague AJ Allmendinger.
I found a AJ top Chevy 20-1.
What
about
talk
that
to me
instead?
dirty, Derek?
No,
dirty.
No, we're just talking here. Hey, we're the boys. We're talking.
Not dirty.
Hey.
Oh, you don't want to talk dirty? No, I like that. 20 to 1 for top Chevy. You got to beat a lot of cars though. If you want to bet top Chevy, you may as well. I mean, you almost got to finish in the top 2, or you got to win the race. 8 of the last 10 have been won by Chevy. That's tough.
That's what I was saying about the top 3, that if you were going to go with the top 3 number at that, maybe even look at the top, 20 to 1 top Chevrolet. So, Dale, I'm going to kick it to you. I'm going to let you close out this segment. Again, can't thank you enough for being on with us here. What do you got for us when it comes to the, this portion here of the values, best bets? What's your money pick going into this week?
Yeah, I think, by the way, AJ Allmendinger's 22 to 1 top Chevy over on Barstool Sportsbook, which I love that line. I love him and Haley both top Chevy. Just love those.
Okay, 22. Good. Yep.
So I think I've had a lot of fun with manufacturer bets this year, which is a great way to split the race into mini races. Mm-hmm. And Toyota, I feel like, is always the one where you can kind of make a couple bets and then sit back and relax. Because in this situation, the 2 bets I like, this is a 2-for-1 best bet kind of deal. You bet both of them and expect a profit. Christopher Bell, top Toyota, plus 550, and Bubba Wallace, top Toyota, plus 350. Put a unit on both. Mm-hmm. And if one of them hits, you get a profit right there. And look, when you look at Denny Hamlin, in his last 5 or 6 super speedway races, 3 or 4 finishes, 17th or worse. There's a whole thing I created I've talked about a lot where after drivers hit the age of 40, their ability to perform and finish at super speedways just dramatically declines. And ever since Denny Hamlin has turned age of 40, has not won a super speedway race and has really struggled to get finishes, right? So throw Atlanta in there too. We've seen the times where he's spun out and been involved in wrecks. I mean, Denny has been very inconsistent on super speedways, and I think a lot of it is a little bit of bad luck too. But look at the top Toyota, Bell and Bubba. I threw the Denny thing in there. I already talked about Tyler Reddick earlier, just snake bit at this type of racing. And then Ty Gibbs, I just don't think has the experience to be a formidable bet at the same price as Christopher Bell or Bubba, or a similar price. And then the other guy is Martin Truex. And we know what Martin Truex has been at super speedways, 0 for 186 million when it comes to getting a win. So look, I think that's a good, if you want a best bet, I think you take those over on Barstool Sportsbook. That's the best collective value I've seen. If you put a unit on both and one of them hits, the minimum you get is 2.5 units payout. So I like that as a best bet for Saturday night's race. But please take it with a grain of salt. There is no best bet for this weekend.
Just a 5 unit or whatever it is on Chase Elliott to win out.
Chase Elliott. That's it.
Right.
That's it. The only best
I'll
bet.
be betting on Chase too. I'll go and tell you guys that.
Let's go.
I have FOMO. It's a FOMO thing. I cave under peer pressure.
But then there you go. Well, I'm glad you're on the show then. You see all of our faces. We get you putting in some bets. Obviously, you're talking about Austin Cindric. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch over exclusively on Twitter Spaces. So for everybody that was tuning in on YouTube, make sure you go check out the listener portion here. We're going to go to the top of the hour, but can't thank everybody here enough. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and support the boys. And Dale, thanks again for joining us on the YouTube side. But let's jump over here to the Twitter Spaces element. And, guys, we talked about a lot. Dale, I actually really liked what you did say there about the kind of taking maybe Bubba and another TRD guy and, giving some of those options and kind of splitting it up. I do like the race, like splitting a race within a race. What about I know we talked about head-to-heads, full race head-to-heads, but stage head-to-heads. We've been able to see some value on them, specifically at Barstool. Do you dip into any of the stage 1 head-to-head?